that can get you killed. If you go to the guards, you will be known as a snitch, and that can get you killed. So you were on your own, perhaps for the first time in your life, and you were forced to deal with your own problems. Believe me, the guy demanding that you drop your drawers isn't going to be good sport and simply let you walk away. You must either simply be willing to fight, or you must give in. Littles returned to Boyle's cell after his conversation with Sandals. "You told me to stay away from you, little. You told me to stay away from you, little. He told me to stay away from you, little. He told me to stay away from you," Little reported. "Look here," Boyles replied. "The cops have a category in prison for everything. If more than 3 people get together in a prison, then they're members of a gang. If there are 2 people, you're both homosexuals. And if you hang by yourself, you're antisocial. That's just how cops are. Now here's the thing, Thomas. You are in here 24 hours a day. The cop is in there 8. The cop is not suffering from the same type of thing you are suffering. The cop is not here to see. The cop is not here to see you going through these mind changes. I have little faith in having them protect me in here. Why? I can't even find the lieutenant. Why? I can't even find the lieutenant when I want to find him. If I was getting stabbed right now and went looking for lieutenant, if I was getting stabbed right now and went looking for Lieutenant Sandals, I probably couldn't even find him. You got to deal with the reality of this place. Who means more to a guy in here? Who is in here 24 hours a day with him? Who is here to talk to him, help him through difficult times? It's very simple. Don't you understand that trust and reliance are built on very little things? Okay, when I don't get my mail, I go to the officer and I ask him if he knows where it is. "I don't know where the fuck your mail is. Check the fucking mail room," he says. Now listen to me. If this cop is not concerned about my mail, does he really care about me? Or when I go to the chow hall and the doors are being closed and I tell the officer there that I'm late but I have a reason, and he says, "Fuck your reason. You're out at dinner." Now, when those things happen, those little things, why the fuck do you think that Sandals or any other cop is going to give a shit about you? Why? And whether you are being preyed upon. He isn't in here 24 hours a day. I am. He says he's going to protect you. Well, what are you going to do the 16 hours that he's off duty? Little nodded. Boyles was making sense. The reason that Sandals wants to help you, Boyles continued, is because he really wants to use you. He's going to tell you, "Hey, a guy in here, he pretty much makes his own bed. If you want to help us, then we can help you. These convicts, they don't give a fuck about you, but I can help you. And all you have to do is help me. Give me a little bit of information. Give me a little bit of information here and there, and I can help you get transferred, or I can keep those predators away. It doesn't have to be anything really serious. Why? Just tell us who was drinking the other night, or up on... It doesn't have to be anything really serious. Why? Just tell us who was drinking the other night up on your tier. That's all. Something small like that. See, it doesn't matter what you tell them, because once you cross that line, you're a snitch, and they know it, and they got you. It's just a fucking trap. Everyone in the world is trying to use everyone else in there. That's how life is, and that's what it is all about in this joint. Now go back to your cell and think about what I just told you, said Boyles. And if you are afraid of me and afraid I'm going to fuck you, then just tell me and we will go our separate ways. I told you, Thomas, all I'm looking for is a friend. Little left. I didn't want to have to kill someone in prison, Little said later, recalling his thoughts. I didn't come here to get a life sentence, but I didn't want to have guys fucking me either. Little knew he had to make a choice. move in with Boyles, or try to make it on his own and in the general population. Although he had never been to the hot house before, Little had heard stories about some of its most notorious residents, including Cyclops, a convicted murderer from Washington, D.C., who had a glass eye and was known for turning young inmates into fuckboys, a term used to describe a prisoner who is not a homosexual but is forced to work as a prostitute in prison by a pimp. The idea of being forced into trying to kill someone as deadly and cold-blooded as Cyclops was just as terrifying. He didn't see any other choices. Little didn't have much of a criminal past to fall back on. His parents were upper middle class and well-educated, and he was raised in a non-violent suburban home. Little was 12 when his parents were divorced, and he moved from Florida to Nebraska with his mother. "My mama is the most wonderful woman to ever walk the face of this vile earth," Little recalled. "My father is some sort of genius. He runs his own company. We cannot understand one another. I do not like him. He does not like me." As a teenager, Little yearned for adventure and liked to consider himself somewhat of a rebel. He told everyone in high school that he was going to join the Navy and become a member of SEAL, the Navy's elite underwater demolition and attack team, as soon as he turned 17. Few of his classmates took him seriously. After graduation, Little turned to Florida and enlisted, but he was washed out. Afraid to return home, a failure, he got a job as a bartender in a club near the base frequented by SEALs. He began smoking marijuana and using uppers and downers. Soon he was selling them. "I would do anything for money. I sold dope and began pimping, pushing pussy at the door. I would do anything for money. I sold dope and began pimping, pushing pussy at the bar. I started robbing left and right too. At first, he hit mom and pop grocery stores and all-night gasoline stations. He tried banks next, but didn't know any of the secrets that most felons learn from older thieves. The simple things, like the best way to rob a bank being a Friday, because that's when banks have money on hand to cash paychecks. His first bank robbery was in Orlando. He got caught doing the second one in Lakeland, Florida. The conviction was the first, and he hadn't hurt anyone during the two robberies. Little couldn't understand why the Bureau had decided to put him in the hot house. It just didn't make sense. When it came time for Little to move into the general population, he asked for permission to live with Boyles. Gao was a highly decorated Vietnam combat grunt, former drill sergeant, and an 18-year Bureau veteran with a reputation for being as scrappy as any convict in the hot house. He was 47, with receding red hair and a chain smoker raspy voice. When Gao saw Little's request, he knew what was happening. Gao didn't approve of any convict preying on a weaker convict, but if Little wanted to sell with Boyles, it was okay by him. The truth is that Boyles is doing everyone a favor, Gao candidly admitted later. Little is the sort of guy who can't take care of himself in here. And if we tell him he can't live with Boyles, then Boyles won't be able to protect him from other convicts. There will be heaps of problems for everyone, particularly Little. As long as Boyles and Little don't do anything out of line, then it's really no one's business. As soon as Little was released from the fish tier, he moved into Boyles' cell. From that moment on, word spread through the penitentiary that anyone who messed with Little had to answer to Carl Boyles. That was something that no one wanted to risk. But behind both men's backs, inmates and guards alike began making fun of Little. They called him the new Miss Little Boy. But behind both men's backs, inmates and guards alike began making fun of Little. They called him the new Miss Boyles.